Good morning, everybody. It's Jason Wood from 11 O'Clock Comics, and it is Wednesday, March 15th, which means it's time to dive into the new books hitting your comic store shelves today. So, as always, I'm going to walk you through the 5 that I am most excited for. But let's not stop there. Make sure after you watch this video, you let me know which books you're hyped to go to your store and pick up. We're going to start off at Marvel this week with Captain America, Symbol of Truth, number 11, written by Toki Onyebuchi with art by R.B. Silva. This is Sam Wilson taking on the White Wolf in a continuation of the fun second arc. And after this arc wraps up, we're going to be entering into a bit of an event that ties in Captain America, Symbol of Truth with Captain America, Sentinel of Liberty. And as you know, these are 2 of my favorite Marvel superhero books of the moment, so I cannot wait to see Sam and Steve back together again. As has been the case every week that this mini event has been running, I'm going to call your attention to Immoral X-Men number 2 of 3, which is the latest installment in the Sins of Sinister event. This shows us 100 years into the future, and as you can see from the cover, we get the re-emergence, I guess, of Rasputin the Fourth. Now, Rasputin was one of the cool future characters that we were exposed to a number of years ago, and a lot of people really glommed on to the character design, even though there wasn't much of a story there with the character. But it looks like writer Kieran Gillen and artist Andrea DeVito plan to flesh her out finally, and I'm sure that's going to make quite a few people very happy. We're going to head over to DC for our third pick of the week, and that is Danger Street, number 4 of a 12-issue limited series. And let's be honest, when you hear the words DC and 12-issue limited series, I'm guessing your mind jumps right to Tom King, who has pretty much become the king of that format, no pun intended. But yes, this is the ongoing B and C list cavalcade of DC characters, all embroiled in a bit of a murder mystery, written by Tom with art by Jorge Fornes. And how about this cover featuring Lady Cop? It is an absolute jaw dropper. I understand a lot of people read Tom's work in its completed form, and that's fine too. Certainly it reads well that way, but this one has been gripping, and I'm picking it up in issues. Our lone pick from Image Comics this week is Kaya, number 6. Main story is written and drawn by creator Wes Craig. But what's really cool about this issue, above all else, is that there is a backup standalone story by Al Gofa. Now, Al is probably not a household name if you're mainly a mainstream comics reader, but if you've listened to our podcast for a long time, you know the name. He is one of the really creative visual storytellers in the indie comic scene, has done a few awesome anthologies in recent years, and I love that Wes is bringing him aboard. Hopefully, he plans on having other terrific indie comics artists contribute standalone stories in the back of Kaya for the future as well. But the other thing is about this main story, as you can see from the cover, it is the bionic arm that the titular character has, and we find out in this issue the origin story. This is the first issue of the second arc of this so far wonderful post-apocalyptic fantasy adventure. Our 5th and final pick of the week is from Dark Horse Comics, and that is Spy Superb, number 3 of 3. Yes, it is the final issue of Matt Kint's written and drawn spy adventure. We've highlighted each of the issues and have not been disappointed in the first 2. This story revolves around a gentleman named Jay, who is basically like a haphazardly successful spy. He is successful in spite of himself. It's a bit of a comic relief. Very much reminds me of the old Pink Panther films with Peter Sellers. It's got that kind of vibe. So if you were into those, you'll love this. I think Matt has a long history of doing really cool, unconventional stories that center around espionage, and this is the latest and greatest. That'll do it for this week. These are the 5 books I'm most excited about. But as you know, there are many, many, many more comics hitting the shelves today. So I'm sure for some of you, there are other things that have you stoked. Love to hear more about that, either in the comments on this video or on our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/11 o'clock comics, or the best place to have very in-depth and engaging conversation about comics and comics culture would be our Patreon. We have a dedicated Slack channel for Patreon members. You can check out that and all the other things you can get from a Patreon membership at patreon.com/11o'clockcomics. That's 11 o'clock comics. And last but certainly not least, please make sure to tune in on your podcast catcher of choice to David, Vince, and I as we regale you for 2 to 3 hours every couple of days talking about all the great things that we love so much about this hobby. So without further ado, I hope you have a great comics book day and a great week, and I will be back as always next Wednesday.